Back in 2019, Samsung introduced the notched phones in their Galaxy A lineup, built for the era of live, but a slew of A series phones, stemming from Samsung's decision to streamline their smartphone portfolio, absorbing the Galaxy J to the Galaxy A, and the phone I bought was the Samsung Galaxy A30.
Now it's 2020, let's see if it's worth it. I'm Formula Anything. In the first episode of Should You Keep It series, this is the Samsung Galaxy A30 in 2020. Now, before I begin, let me tell you simply what this series is about. I do a review or a re-review of the phone you are currently holding on to as of this video's posting. And in this review, I'll tell you whether you should keep it or not.
Currently it's 2020 and I bought this phone last year. At 899 ringgit, that price in 2019 could get you the Redmi Note 7 or the Xiaomi Mi A3. But why did I buy the A30? Well, versatility and familiarity. You see, I came from a flagship, the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, but when it died, I needed a phone with a sense of familiarity, One UI. Back then, the software was still in its infancy. It was a welcome change, a fresh perspective that was brought on the flagship Samsung series. When it came to the A30, it was one of the reasons why I immediately jumped ship after my Note 8 died. One UI was back then functional. But now, the software's age is becoming more apparent. I've been using this for at least a year and it's becoming slower than what it used to be. The model I have with me is the 64GB internal with 4GB of RAM. Part of it is down to the underperforming processor and the RAM. 4GB of RAM is unacceptable in 2020, especially when Android 10 demands more out of this. Combining it with its aging processor, the experience becomes much worse, especially in gaming. When I bought this thing, it came with Android 9 out of the box and performed well within my needs. But now, the signs are becoming obvious. Its versatility comes in the camera. The A30 comes with two cameras at the rear, one at the front. What the Redmi Note 7 lacked was the ultra-wide lens. Yeah, it would have been nice to have a telephoto lens, but personally I find the ultra-wide setup to be more useful. Rarely I use the camera zoom to approach the subject to get the photo, but in the ultra-wide I can get more in the photo. Sure, its 5MP ultra-wide is not sharp, but it's just okay. But what about the main camera? Same thing. The 16MP camera is just okay too. Sure, you won't expect flagship camera quality. Both rear cameras' photos have the tendency to look overexposed and low light capabilities are poor as expected. Sheesh, noisy. But where one of the phone's biggest weakness lies in its cameras as well. Autofocusing. It has a high tendency to focus hunt and its responsiveness is slow. To have a camera that gets the job done, it needs to focus correctly. Unfortunately, software update after update, the camera still makes no difference. Don't get me to talk about the 16MP front facer. I rarely used it. If it was good or okay, I would have talked about it, but nah. Video quality? Well, basically it's okay enough for Instagram stories. Both rear cameras don't come with OIS. Good thing is, you can record both cameras at the rear and at the front up to 1080p. But a small disappointment, up to 30 frames a second. It's 2020, 1080p 60fps should be the standard on most smartphone cameras, especially on entry-level mid-range phones. Now let's move on to the build. You get a USB-C port and a much-needed headphone jack. Fingerprint sensor is sometimes a hit or a miss. No complaints on its speed, but overall I have no complaints of the choice of its build as well. Sure, plastic is not everyone's liking and the phone doesn't scream premium, but sacrificing fragile glass sandwich with durable scratch-prone plastic It's worth the longevity. But you know what I've been spoiled ever since owning my Note 8? That's water resistance. Now guys, it's about time to have an IP rating in the budget segment, especially during the pandemic. Unfortunately for the A30, it does not come with water and dust resistance. So when you go outside and then return home, you can't wash it, you can only wipe it clean from the virus. Now here's one of the reasons why I like this phone. The display. 1080p AMOLED for that price, I went for it. Which is why I didn't go for the 720p screen of the Xiaomi Mi A3 and the average saturation of the IPS display from the Redmi Note 7. Samsung and AMOLED go hand in hand together, providing the best displays on the market. It's vivid with super punchy colors and an amazing contrast with deep blacks. Bonus point, you can hide the notch. Sorry A30s users, but I want to point out, sacrificing screen sharpness with the in-display fingerprint scanner is unjustifiable when it's basically the same phone internally. Therefore, the A30 is for the win in the display department. Another reason why I like it? It's hard to kill the phone's battery life.
Now I can't show you the battery stats because this isn't my daily driver anymore, so I'm gonna speak from my experience using it.
Packing 4000 mAh under heavy continuous usage with navigation, media, browsing, and sometimes heavy gaming, it lasts at least 5 to 6 hours of on-screen time.
Under moderate usage, at least 1 to 2 days. If you're a light user like me right now, it can stand by for at least 3 days.
Seriously, the battery is excellent. What's not excellent but gets the job done is charging.
Guaranteed it's not fast, 0 to full in at least an hour and 30 minutes due to the large battery size and its maximum 15-watt charging speed. But where I'm willing to close one eye on it is the longevity of the phone's battery that makes up for it.
Good battery life and great display, subpar camera and aging performance. Folks, it's 2020. I don't think it's worth keeping this phone. Where it's worth keeping for 2020 are phones like the Realme 6 or the Oppo A92. Obviously, they are more expensive and newer than the A30, but you'll get better performance and a variety of camera versatility from both phones. But let's say you decide you want to keep it. Is it still okay for 2020? Well, if you're like me, I only use it for casual browsing and media. What makes up for its aging performance is the battery life. And I think that itself is enough for a phone as it should be, so it's worth keeping it for that. But if you're not like me, then the A30, again, is not for you to keep this year.
Well, that was my first phone review. In case you're curious, the skin at the back of that phone isn't the brand that's sponsoring almost every major tech YouTuber, so that's out of the way. Shout out to an up-and-coming tech YouTuber, Sarenbite, for briefly appearing in my B-roll. He's awesome, definitely check that one out. Besides that, thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to hit like and to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of what's in store in the future. Again, thanks for watching and I'll see you soon. Cheers.